Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of 12.5 Minutes. My name is Jared Kelly. I'm with my friend and co host, Liz Whitehead.
Hi, Jared.
So good to see you as always.
Good to see you too.
I think today's episode of Crazy, Scary, Genius, Hilarious has something that is pretty special to all of us because I think it affects all of our um, mental health. It affects our kids. I think it affects how we look at our daily lives. So you brought up a great conversation that I want you to share with our audience.
So I saw this. I thought it was pretty crazy that a court in California found that Meta and YouTube were liable for the mental health issues of a 21-year-old woman, and they awarded her $6 million in damages.
Wow.
For yes, for the mental health effects of using their platform from a very young age. And I thought it was wild for a bunch of reasons. One, that's a lot of money. And two, it opens up the door for, this was a what they call a bellwether case. So it opens the door to like thousands of lawsuits from school districts, states, individuals that will all go through, the legal process now. They want to see, okay, is the jury going to buy this? Is this going to work in our favor before we put all this other litigation ahead? And yeah, it really opens the door for social media sites to see a lot more. And not just Meta and YouTube, because apparently she settled with TikTok and Snap before that.
Wow. What I think is crazy about this is that when we consider, I'm not sure, I think she was pretty young when she started in social media. So when I think what's really crazy is how our society changed so dramatically in so many different ways simply by this concept, a construct of social media. It started with one app and then became another app and then became a collection of apps, right? And what's crazy is to me, they start off with one intent and then the mad scientists behind some of these platforms um, found a way to monetize these communities, but control human nature. They started understanding human nature at its very core. And I think that's where addiction can happen. And I think that's also what's very interesting, um, speaks to parents, not to indict any parents, but parents and young kids in making decisions or having a child make a decision for themselves about when a child starts to engage in these communities.
Oh, absolutely. It's scary because it's also rewiring their brain. It's getting into their brain. If you think about cigarettes, right, or tobacco, we've seen these class action lawsuits before with Aaron Brockovich, a big company is contaminating the groundwater and it's resulting in people getting sick. And those are sort of physical things. Like with tobacco, they actually put nicotine in it so to make it more addictive. But this, it's actually like exactly like you said, it's speaking to their human behavior. If we do this, it'll make them scroll more. If we do this, it'll keep them on the platform longer. And that's happening in your brain, which is particularly scary. It rewires your brain chemistry.
It does, and it's scary on so many different levels. I'd add to that and say that the idea of the impacts on your brain is one thing, but secondarily, that changes behavior, and behavior changes how you interact with people or how you don't interact with people, which spreads, right? So it becomes viral, literally, in terms of behavior, and that affects entire culture of our communities. So when we look at our children and you look at psychology, you look at their transformative years and the age where they're most um, the the impressions upon a child are the strongest and most everlasting. I think that is what really becomes scary is you're changing how they think at such a young age, and then it's having an impact on not only them, it's having an impact on their families, on the kids at school, and how schools operate. And so I understand that this is way more than this one bellwether case. Obviously they're looking at several other lawsuits, but the intention, the same thing like you talked about with tobacco, that the attention to details is getting to the attention economy, which attached their attention to income, and that's what's
Mhm.
really scary.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think, another thing like our tech overlords are doing too is preventing us from coming together in real life, right? Like that we've talked about this before that Gen Z doesn't talk. They don't talk to each other. They don't like in their customer service jobs, they don't really like to talk to you. And as you said, that fundamentally changes society. I saw something where, it's like, oh, older people are using virtual reality to you be not so lonely and communicate. It's like, oh man, that seems to be the wrong direction. The best thing is to actually go out and be in community with people. That's the thing that's going to help your brain. It's going to slow down dementia. It's going to slow down Alzheimer's. It's going to slow down the depression, the things that actually, are going to take years off your life in the end. So yeah, the tech overlords understand. They don't like people, but they seem to understand us pretty well.
Right. And they were the ones, if we really push back and look through time, that we consider them to be genius, right?
Right.
And we valued them in their genius. We value their genius based off of coding all these different, applications and programs. But we did not see that that toxic behavior that they had as individual uh, programmers was being inserted in their thought process of how they saw human interaction, right?
Right.
And that I think is wild because when you look at whether it's um, any of the tools, any of the programs or applications, um, they have a baseline where they can be very, very helpful in terms of building community and communications. It is great for birthdays. That's about all I use Facebook for. Um, I don't have to keep up with people's birthdays because I get a notification. Um, and but it also it brings people together that have been lost, like that you've disconnected with them somehow, some way they moved or whatever, or friends from school or family, and it can reunite people in various ways. But all of that same programming is still built in with an ulterior motive,
Hmm.
and that's data collection. That's the bottom line. It's data collection. And when it comes down to it, we freely give it and they freely use it to their advantage, which happens to be at our detriment.
Oh yeah. Well, and I read another article. So, what's the genius solution, which was that actually you can detox your brain from social media with just 2 weeks if you just go without 2 weeks. And they even said that even if you cheat, like taking the 2 weeks is great, even the intention to take 2 weeks, even if you cheat a little bit here and there, it's still better for you than full-fledged access, which, you know, is a great, easy solution, but tougher than you think. I mean, when you look at people doing dry January or whatever, and then people talking about doing dry January, it's not easy for people to just stop their routines. And getting into what we were talking about at the beginning, which is young people, um, having two young people in my house, I can just imagine the meltdown of, all right, we're going 2 weeks without any social media, which for them would pretty much be, they don't have phones yet. So YouTube, I guess, but it would be tough. You'd really have to stand your ground.
And it would be a scenario where we look at, why this would be so hilarious. We would look at um, an immediate response, the same way adults have a response to when they're restricted from something. If you take away something that they're really relying on, which is my Friday afternoon, my Thursday afternoon cocktails, um, you say no more cocktails. Like it's a part of my lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's a small thing, but when you have an addictive um, behavior that is every day, if you're drinking every single day, going cold turkey is very, very difficult. Um,
Yeah.
I actually, I actually think that it would be hilarious to see if in the lawsuits uh, there came to be some type of voluntary cutoff or a government mandated uh, cutoff that said, you know what, this particular age, everyone needs to be cut off, turn it off, do not allow any access, and we're going to monitor our society for the next 6 months. Ha!
I
I'd
mean,
love to
it
see it.
it would be pretty hilarious. I I think, and I do think young people who haven't been without it would have the hardest time. It I mean, I I would like to see it. It's something that like a command and control country could do, Um, and who knows, maybe that's where we're going. So maybe it's something the US will be able to do.
I think that it would be genius. At the very least, if you have um, if you have a way of detoxing a culture, start with social media, and I think that is a great way to end this episode of 12.5 minutes. So thank
Which
you.
you can find on social media.
It is still good for a few things. 12.5,
Yeah.
12.5 minutes. My name is Jared Kelly. This is Liz Whitehead. We are out of here. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye for now.